Government of Grenada caps freight charges for imported goods. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report.
Have you noticed an increase or decrease in your electricity bill? You know that changes in the fuel and non-fuel rates affect your bill. You should also be aware that changes in household activities affect your bill. Ask yourself these questions. Have the rates changed? Have there been more people at your home? Have your children been on holiday? Have you used your fan or air conditioning unit more often to beat the heat? Are any of your electrical appliances or equipment faulty? Have you added any new appliances such as transformers, water heaters, or pumps? Make it a habit to understand any changes on your electricity bill. For more factors that affect your bill, visit www.grenlec.com. Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
With the details to the news for Friday, September 30th, 2022, I am Sherry-Ann Noel. As part of the government's efforts to alleviate the impact of external shocks on the Grenadian population, Cabinet has approved the adjustment of freight in the calculation of duties and taxes on imported goods to reflect 2019 freight cost. The freight cap will be applied to the importation of all goods landed in Grenada during the period October 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. The implementation of the cap will see only minor changes in the current process of customs brokers and importers, who will follow existing processes in preparing the customs declaration. For commercial imports, there will be a requirement to identify freight actually paid on the valuation note of the customs declaration. In the case of non-commercial imports, agents will input actual freight paid in the preparation of the Simplified Administrative Document, SAD. The customs computerized system, Asicuda World, will make the necessary adjustments and apply the reduced freight for the calculation of duties and taxes. All other clearance processes remain the same. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Mike Sylvester, says this will be an ongoing process, but he expects a seamless transition.
Government is supporting or helping to mitigate the impact by really subsidizing the prices of those goods, so that when it gets to the shelf, it would be a lot cheaper than it would have otherwise been. And so that is really the effect of the policy. The comptroller and his team, as the comptroller of customs and his team, would have had extensive consultations with the agents and brokers and importers and so on. And so this will allow them to be able to implement the measure with as little disruption as possible. The Ministry of Finance will continue to provide public relations on this matter, and so we will continue to share information with the public. We'll continue to consult relevant stakeholders to ensure that the measure is implemented successfully and without any issues or without any hiccups. If there are, we will try to resolve them, of course, as quickly as possible. And if there is any need to amend the policy, we will take that back to Cabinet. Of course, it's an opportunity for us to evaluate how things unfold. And I'm sure that once there are issues, once there are ways and means and so on to improve on that policy, those, of course, would be considered and implemented.
The public is reminded of the legal obligations to make true and correct declarations. Moving along, Grenada is receiving $10 million in grant funding from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for development purposes. That announcement by Prime Minister Honorable Dickon Mitchell during a meeting of the House of Representatives on Thursday. He used the opportunity to praise the former administration for starting the discussions in this vein, which were concluded by the current administration. Prime Minister Mitchell thanked the former government for its initiative.
The former administration had begun discussions with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to receive some grant funding. We have continued those discussions, and I'm happy to report that $10 million in fact has been made available by the Saudi Arabian government towards the people and government of Grenada as grant funding. And so as I started this morning by saying, I take no credit when no credit is due. I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, to indicate that the credit is due to the prior administration for initiating those discussions.
Minister for Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, Senator the Honorable Gayton Lacrotte, has given his government's commitment to address deficiencies in the country's healthcare system. This, he says, will involve improvement in its human resource capacity. Senator Lacrotte was a guest on the ministry's weekly program, The Next Chapter, with host Kevin Frederick.
It's going to be a mammoth undertaking moving forward, because one of the things that we suffer from the most in our healthcare sector is the deficiency in our human resource capacity.
I think you sense where I was going.
Because in order to be able to roll out a very strong or resilient primary healthcare structure, you have to ensure that you have the manpower to do so at all levels of the primary healthcare strata. And as it stands right now, in every area of our healthcare system, we are deficient where human resource capacity is concerned, and building back that human resource capacity is going to take time. Building back our nursing capacity is going to take time. Building back our specialist area capacity is going to take time. Every area is going to take some time. I cannot. We cannot at this juncture import 500 nurses from a particular country and house them, pay them, give them benefits, etc. So we have to depend on our own, and very soon we will be championing the cause for men and women across the island, especially our youth who are going off to study, as it relates to our national human resource development strategy, to really engage in studying in specialist areas so that we can build back that kind of human resource capacity that we want to see and have in our system.
Senator Lacrotte says this and other issues will be addressed through his ministry's primary healthcare framework that will soon be implemented. A model is being created to address the brain drain that results in nurses leaving the island for more attractive employment packages in the region and internationally.
A model is being worked on because it is important to ensure that people feel valued in the profession that they are in, especially if it's a service industry and people are giving up their time. Yes, they're being paid, but they're giving up their time, they're giving up their heart. Kevin, if you look at the profession years ago, and you do an introspection as it relates to how nurses behaved, how nurses carried themselves, how the community nurses in the health centers were respected, well crafted in their field. Not that those we have now are not, so I want to make that distinction very clear. Well crafted in their field. The response to community trauma or community emergencies. You look at how they walked with their head held high when they walked through the community in whatever nursing, whatever level of the nursing strata they fell on, how they walked through the community with their heads held high. Their families were respected because this is nurse so-and-so daughter or nurse so-and-so son. And when I made that stark remark at the induction of the nurses at the St. George's University induction ceremony, I said it with every fiber of my being because I believe that some degree of respect must return to the nursing cadre here in Grenada.
Meanwhile, the public is informed that with immediate effect, the hours of operation of the District Medical Officers Clinic, DMO Clinic, at the St. George's Health Center have been extended to 4 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs encourages everyone to take note of this extension and make full use of the provided service. This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
Prepare for hurricane. Prepare for hurricane. Make sure you have your radio and your batteries too. Waterproof flashlight candles will do. Tin stuff, garbage bag, first aid kit. Come on people, make sure you have it. Clean water in a container and a hurricane plan. Hear me no man.
Hurricane damage is beyond your control. Surviving the aftermath is up to you. Have a hurricane plan. It can save your life and your family too.
Prepare for hurricane. Your hair, prepare for hurricane.
The Inland Revenue Division is urging people to see the importance of registering their businesses and having a tax identification number to ensure legitimate transactions. Senior Tax Inspector Joel Johnson, who was a guest on the program Inside Finance, spoke to the specified requirements by law for registration of businesses, whether corporations, partnerships, or sole trader businesses.
You get your business name registered. After that step, it takes about 3 to 4 days at carriacou. You're going to be given a certificate of registration and a statement of particulars. The statement of particulars shows who applied to register the business, what business name has been registered, the start date, the commencement date, etc. And you will need that information to carry to Inland Revenue. If you have registered an incorporated company, if you incorporated a company, you will also get a certificate of incorporation and you will need articles of incorporation. That's what IRD would need from you.
Mr. Johnson also elaborated on the requirements of the sole trader business applicants to ensure registration for their tax ID.
Your first step is to register at Corporate Affairs and Intellectual Property Office. They are located Upper Lucas Street, St. George. It's a big green building as you enter Mount Whale there before you go into Parliament building up there. You should know it, get familiar with it. There's a big sign there. You go there, you get your business name registered. After it's done, the officers, they will prompt you, they will remind you that you need to carry copies of those documents to Inland Revenue. Inland Revenue don't want to keep your original certificates. You just want the copies of those documents.
Okay.
So you give us a copy of the certificate, a copy of the statement of particulars. If your business is a sole tradership, that means it's just one name, just you alone own your business. You're going to bring those documents from carriacou, and then we have one form we would require you to complete at Inland Revenue. That form can also be obtained on IRD's website, ird.gd. You go to our section that says Form Downloads, and you download the form that says Individual Enterprise Registration Form.
Okay.
That form is going to ask you things like your business name, your date of birth, your business location.
For partnership business, the requirements differ with regard to the documents to be filled out.
The first form you would need to do as IRD is called the Non-Individual Enterprise Registration Form. Now that form requires you to put information about the business in itself. The business name, like I said earlier, the start date, the business email, the business location, the fiscal period, which speaks about how your financial year runs, the start dates of your business. You'll put that on the non-individual form. And then we would need registration details of the partners themselves. So we always ask you to give an NIS number on your identification. Of course, you could also give a driver's license or a passport number. You could give that. If you are not a Grenadian and you are applying to register at IRD, you will need to provide for us 2 pieces of picture identification for our records. Of course, if you're Grenadian, then just the NIS could suffice. The NIS is a good number, it has your information and your picture. But if you're not Grenadian, we're going to need 2 IDs from you. And in a nutshell, you submit those information, those documents to IRD. Along with the form like I just spoke about, you submit for us a copy of the certificate of registration,
Okay.
a copy of your statement of particulars, and then we receive it, and then it begins processing.
Mr. Johnson says there is no cost to processing the applications. It takes approximately 2 weeks for completion as investigations must be conducted to ensure the viability of the applications. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, Norman Gilbert, is heading a 2-member Grenada delegation to the World Conference on Cultural Policies and Sustainability in Mexico. P.S. Gilbert is accompanied by Assistant Chief Cultural Officer Ms. Susan Jones-Benjamin, who attended the UNESCO Intergovernmental Conference on Cultural Policies and Sustainable Development in Mexico City from 28 to 30th September 2022. On Thursday, Mr. Gilbert presented on behalf of the Culture Minister, Honorable Ron Redhead, on one of the thematic sessions under the theme, The Future of the Creative Economy. Before they travel, Minister Redhead said he looks forward to the team's participation at the meeting, where over 100 ministers of culture will be present. He is excited about the representation they will give as Grenada prepares to move vigorously into rebuilding and enhancing its cultural product. This World Conference provides new momentum for the global policy dialogue on culture for sustainable development spearheaded by UNESCO, in line with its cultural mandate to advance the free exchange of ideas and knowledge by encouraging cooperation among countries as enshrined in its constitution. And with that story, we come to the end of the National Report for Friday, September 30th, 2022. On behalf of the news and production team, I am Sharian Noel, thanking you for viewing.